It's a series of decisions that stretch back anywhere from 2.5 to 16 years ago, depending on where you want to plant the flag on that. And it's like, that's it. Unless someone's got a time machine, this is just what things look like now.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. I still approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
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 And
W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Del Bush.
Dal.
Del.
W. Dal Bush.
At what point do we switch over pulls in Shopify from one distributor to the other for a publisher? For example, Fantagraphics we're buying through Lunar,
Okay.
but all the pulls are still set for Diamond.
Oh, I mean, then if we're getting them through Lunar, we should immediately switch
Okay,
over.
but I didn't know if we needed to wait until a certain amount of...
No, because it's
months
not
had
it's
come
not
out,
affecting the
or-
pulls, it's affecting the invoicing.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, not the invoicing, the ordering. So as soon as we switch over the ordering, we should switch it over in Managed Comics.
As soon as we switch over the ordering,
Yeah.
you mean
Like-
physically...
I mean, the second we start ordering from Lunar instead of Diamond, for example,
yeah.
we should
That's
switch
what you
over
do.
in the background from
Okay.
Lunar to Diamond.
I thought
Because
there was a reason not to do it immediately.
the only reason not to do it is FOCs. Because basically, if you're doing initial orders through Lunar, but you're still doing FOCs through Diamond, when you go to do your FOCs for Diamond, it won't show you Fantagraphics, for example, because you've told Managed Comics, I only get this publisher through this vendor. So no matter if it's initial order or final order cutoff, the thing it doesn't affect is receiving, which is why sometimes if we've accidentally ordered a thing from two different distributors, even though in the system we say we only get it from Lunar, if we get it from Diamond as well in the same week, it's going to be like, cool, you need to pull it for your subscribers. Doesn't matter that you have told the system I only get it from Lunar.
All it knows is you got it. Yeah.
You receiving it doesn't matter who it's from.
Okay. There's obviously things in the catalog I'm working on now, like my favorite thing is also Monsters, which is my name for my favorite thing is Monsters too.
Sure, it's a good name.
And Love and Rockets,
Mm-hmm.
but just those two things.
Sure.
So it was a quick double check to make sure we had enough on Club. I wasn't really sure what to order for my favorite thing is still Monsters because it's been 7 years.
Yeah.
And we had this many pre-orders.
Yep. I mean, I would probably order not more than like 6 or 7 for the shelf.
Okay.
Because a lot of it depends on if all of the people who bought it, how many years ago?
7.
7 years ago, who do not buy comics normally, find out this thing exists and decide to go to a local comic shop and buy it, which is not a thing I would necessarily think is going to happen.
They're all just going to get it at the new Barnes & Noble and Walgreens.
Probably or Amazon.
Well, I ordered 8 for the shelf.
Okay, that's fine.
But I mean, that should FOC, right?
I honestly don't know if it FOCs or not.
I just assumed everything in Lunar is FOC'd.
Probably. I honestly don't know. I would just be guessing if I gave you an answer.
Okay. Well, all that is putting it from me to you.
Fine.
I did my part.
Sure.
That's the way our business works. We each do our parts.
Yep.
And you, listener, do your part by listening and hopefully, buying.
Oh, let's not count on that.
What do we want to start with first, Al?
You pick, Patrick.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Did you want to talk about Diamond's miracle cure for the comics industry, the flat rate shipping?
Let's. So
I wish we had the proper documentation to get it all exact, but I trust you.
I mean,
to...
I can read it out if you want me to read it out. I don't think the minutia is going to be super interesting on a podcast. I'll just put it this way. One of the things that Diamond has been criticized about for years and years is how difficult it is for retailers to understand how they calculate their shipping. You get a shipping total from Diamond, and it's usually a week in arrears. So if you get an invoice on February 14th, the shipping total on there is generally considered to be for the week of February 7th. So not only do you get your books, but then the week later you find out how much you paid for shipping. And then the shipping amount never seems to be something that you can figure out where they're getting it from. It's never like when we get stuff from Lunar, it's box by box. Here's what you paid for this box. So we can say, oh, we paid $7 or $8 to ship that box via FedEx. Got it. Understandable. This is how much the box weighed. This is how big it was. I get where you're calculating it.
The thing about the Lunar shipping is it's consistent.
It is.
Similarly packed boxes cost the same amount to ship.
Yeah.
Give or take a couple of cents.
Diamond stuff has always been very confusing, and a lot of people who work in logistics have tried to figure it out and looked at numbers of invoices and boxes and stuff and basically figured out, at best, it's some sort of like volume calculation rather than like a weight. So unclear. But anyway.
Do you remember like 2 years or so ago, we had somebody who was a listener who did a breakdown for us based off of their experiences in shipping?
Yeah.
It was quite fascinating, but also still just their best guess.
Right, exactly. So people have been complaining about that for years. Diamond announced this week that they are moving to a flat shipping calculation. And basically what that's going to be is to get things shipped out, which means anyone who does full truckload or LTL, I think less than truckload, or drop point pickup, which is what we do currently for our new product and our
all of our Diamond product. For the most part.
Any of the restock stuff. I was thinking I blanked on the term for the replenishment. Thank you. All that stuff just gets picked up at a warehouse. So we do pay money to get that shipped to the warehouse, but we don't pay money to get it shipped to the store. If you get it paid if you're getting it shipped to your store, how they're doing it going forward, I can't remember if it's starting soon or eventually, but what they're going to be doing is calculating it off of the retail cost of the products you're shipping. And what that is 3% of your retail product SRP total for the things you're getting shipped out will be shipping. So for example, if you're getting $200 worth of cover price comics shipped out, you will be paying $6 to ship that box. So Patrick was telling me retailers were responding to it, and the second I saw it, I'm like, this does not work for us because it is very expensive compared to a lot of our other vendors. As mentioned before, Penguin Random House charges us $0 to ship their books. But comparing it to someone like Lunar, it's still significantly more than we would pay for Lunar. Like using their calculations, which is 3% of retail, not cost, retail. I did a calculation where I looked at recent Lunar shipments and found out that using Diamond's calculation, what we got shipped from Lunar would cost us anywhere from 3 to 5 times what we were paying Lunar for the same shipment.
3 to 5 times.
To get the same amount of product from Diamond. And honestly, I was kind of calculating it on the low side because I wasn't using a strict, what the retail was. I just kind of doubled what our cost was. And we do pay, we get a higher discount than 50% for a lot of the stuff that we get from Lunar. So yeah, it's on the same token though, like it is cheaper Diamond shipping. Not only is it something that you can verify, but it's also looking at, again, what we've paid for recent Diamond shipments using their calculations. We would have paid 30 to 40% less, which is great, but it's still significant. It's not now, instead of being insanely high, it's just really high.
So it is better, but I couldn't understand.
It's just better than Diamond though. That's it.
I couldn't understand how the reactions were so positive.
Mm-hmm.
And there were stores that would say that it's now cheaper for them than Lunar shipping. Now, we're very close to Lunar. We're literally a 3-hour drive away.
Yeah, we're just a state over.
So maybe it has to do with the different zones and the territories.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, we found that, just anyone who's ever tried to ship anything will tell you that depending on where you're shipping to and where you're shipping from, the price can change drastically unless it is something like priority mail shipping, where it is a flat rate if it fits inside a certain size package. If you're using things like UPS, FedEx, USPS for non-flat rate shipping, it could go up drastically. There's been times where we've sent a tiny box out to a customer, and sometimes it's like, it's like $6 or $7, and then sometimes it's like $11 to $12, and you're like, it's the same size, it's the same weight. Well, they live in a weird place. So it just costs you $5 more. That's it.
For the postal person to rent a donkey
Pretty much.
and traverse the deserted wilderness.
Yep. Donkey has to get on a little raft. Got to pay money for the raft.
Yep.
So while it's interesting that Diamond is willing to do something where we can actually see what we're going to be paying, or at least figure out in advance what we're going to be paying, it's still not a great rate. It's still a really bad rate. And it still makes them our most expensive vendor as far as who we get products from.
It has literally made us not order larger items recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Things that like, oh, this would be fun to have. It's not going to be worth it to sell because of the discount, which is considerably less than the comic discount, and what it will cost to ship. Even this week, lately we've been playing the game of what do you think is in this box? And it's one thing.
Yeah.
One thing.
I mean, the good news is now that won't be hurting us as much because it doesn't matter how many boxes they ship it in. It's calculated off of the retail price. So if they take, 8 Marvel Legends figures and ship them in 8 individual boxes, it's the same as if they were shipping it in one case.
That kind of goes into what I was talking about last week with our print vendor, our print printer,
Right.
and how they would just charge you per box regardless,
Right.
which is the opposite.
Yeah. Not good. Don't do that.
And I know shipping rates keep going up. I know stamps keep going up. Postage keeps going up. I know that it is in a government entity that doesn't have the most detailed oversight.
Right.
But really, what does?
Yeah, it's not so much that like shipping's going up, but again, you can look at different vendors in the exact same industry and be like, why can't you do this? Like, I don't know what it takes to get a better deal from UPS, FedEx, USPS, but it has to be possible because I'm looking at multiple different companies that are doing it. Like, I don't understand why Diamond's shipping is so high. I appreciate that they lowered it, but it's still very high.
And I understand this is a negotiation with UPS to get these rates.
I would assume any company is negotiating with UPS to get lower rates, and some of them get lower rates than others. So I guess negotiate more.
It's always disturbing that negotiation is such a tactic. Now when anybody's like, I think my cell phone bill is too high, I'm going to transfer. You can negotiate and they'll take it down for you. You shouldn't have to.
No,
you
I don't want to.
I do not like when people want to negotiate in my store because there's a printed price on a thing.
Yep.
And I don't try to negotiate when I go anywhere else.
No.
I don't like it. I don't even like I don't like negotiating at conventions. I've never been
No, God.
Oh, this says, this is great. Our friends of ours who run eBay stuff in a different state, they had a figure up for $110.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what it's like to deal with eBay requests.
Mm-hmm.
They got an email that just said, bro, all I have is 50. So they responded, bro, let us know when you find 60 more.
Yeah.
Like they were asking for less than half of the,
Yeah,
I only have $60. And how many times have you seen somebody do that? Like, all I have is this much. And then the person they're negotiating with says, fine, I'll take it. And they pull out this wad and just peel off the 110 or whatever it is.
I thankfully have not seen that often.
It is,
Sounds
it's
infuriating.
still just a thing that it's like you have that. Sure, maybe that the money's earmarked for something else.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. That's all I have. I do not negotiate with terrorists. I don't know.
Maybe you'll
I
find
probably
out
would.
someday.
I don't know. I'd just be too tired.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
No.
Too tired. I spent all of today working with invoices and weekly bank totals and things, and then working on the April orders. And I'm very tired.
Sure. Understandable.
It's a very tiring point. See, the thing is, I need you to be the enthusiastic one.
Oh, no, that's done. We're done with that.
I know. And that's what's hurting me. Physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah, I've decided that instead of being the, what was it, optimistic one? What was I supposed to be? The enthusiastic one. I've decided to just be blasé and checked out. It just seems emotionally healthier at this point. then either your tactic of constantly worrying or my previous tactic of just, everything's going to be fine. We got a plan. This is going to be great. I'm just like, no, I'm just going to go the other way. Nope. Whatever happens now happens.
Can you help me stop my constant worry tactic?
I don't know, man. Just focus on something else. just let go of it. Let go of all of the, I don't know what. Yeah. I'm letting go of this sentence. There you go.
Huh. I mean, it really made me not want to record.
Sure. Understandable.
It definitely felt like I keep putting it off. Like,
yeah,
we could have done this at any point today.
Yep.
Nope. Pushing it back.
Yeah. Because I don't want to do another episode where it's just like, oh yeah, no, we're colossally fucked financially, and this Challengers thing is now something I can measure in days and weeks rather than years. Like, that's just okay. It's a series of decisions that stretch back anywhere from like 2.5 to 16 years ago, depending on where you want to plant the flag on that. And it's like, that's it. Unless someone's got a time machine, this is just what things look like now.
It's almost ironic that we're doing this right now, because right now is...
Also, I'm hungry, so that doesn't help things.
is the Comics Pro annual meeting.
It is going on right now in Pittsburgh. That we couldn't go to because we don't have any money.
We are not. I was going to say we are not there. But this is the year that always recharges everybody and fuels them up and gets them excited for the year ahead.
They're going to need to, because we're not going to be around for it.
We need them to get us excited. I was going to say posthumously, but I didn't mean that. I meant, from a distance.
Sure.
Vicariously.
Vicariously is a good way of putting it.
So all sorts of things are happening that we don't even know about.
I know about some of them because they've been reported on places.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
What could those be?
Do you want to hear one really good piece of news that when I read on my phone, I went, wow, really?
I think that's the only thing that I know about it.
What do you know?
That DC Comics go back on sale on Wednesdays.
Yes, they're unifying releases across all channels instead of communications.
Against all distributors.
Yes. The big news is this July, DC Comics will be moving its new comic release day back to Wednesdays from the much maligned Tuesdays that certain stores like us never ever did. Everything was Wednesdays. And you would have it be a problem sometimes when people would come in for like the Suicide Squad comic. And they'd be like, oh, I heard it came out today. Like, no, it's tomorrow for us. I would never say, like, it didn't come out or that's not the release day. I would just say, we put all of our releases out on Wednesdays. And then they would come back the next day and they'd buy it. And they'd usually buy other stuff that came out.
Does this mean starting July 1st, whatever comes out, or the books that are ordered in July?
Literally, the thing I read was it starts in July.
Okay. Because, for example...
This is probably a thing where, like, we are at least 2 catalogs away from that being something they have to worry about. So I don't know if they know what day it's going to be. I would assume with the first release day, the first release Wednesday of July will probably be the new release day. Or they could wait until after 4th of July if that knocks things around. I don't know.
But I also understand that's only half of the announcement.
That was the one I heard. I didn't hear the second half.
They're changing their FOC day.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
To Mondays?
Yep.
Great. I mean, I assume they would. Like, if you're moving your release day, you're also moving your FOC day. No matter how you move it, they're both moving at the same rate.
I was talking to David Harper about this one thing because I had just seen a photo and that was like a caption underneath it. So that was my tip off. I'm like, oh, is that really a thing? And then David texted to ask if I was at Comics Pro. Then we talked about that one specific announcement.
Yeah.
And I explained that he's like, yeah, the dream is some retailers' dream of Wednesday new releases across the board is coming true. And I said, yeah, that's our dream as well, specifically because now we don't have to worry about getting AWA or Oni books a week late.
I feel like that was already starting to line up.
Yeah.
Because I would notice that I would do Lunar FOCs, and then the next day I'd look at the Diamond stuff and I'd see like, oh, the same AWA books.
And for the life of me, I could not explain why that was the case. All I could tell him was it was based off of the Sunday FOC.
Yeah.
And that it knocked everything out of joint for us, not for everybody. but just for, I think, geographically this area
Yeah.
and maybe further east. And he's like, but how? He sent a gif of Ryan Reynolds saying, but why?
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know
Yeah.
why. It just is.
It just is.
It's a thing that I was never able to explain.
No, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
So
that's-
luckily, we won't have to worry about it past the summer. Or sooner.
I literally looked at Dal like, hey, look, optimism.
Uh-huh.
Did you have more? We are burning through topics already.
Sure. The other thing that I'd read was it's just little things coming out depending on the day. Like, I guess DC had a bunch of presentations today. So they announced a few things. One is a new trade program they're doing where it's specifically themed like best of collections, but built around specific concepts. It's a really hard thing to explain because it's like the introductory ones are like the best Flash stories of the Silver Age, really early in the run, Wonder Woman origin stories, Batman Year 1 and 2, the Catwoman miniseries by Minnie Newell, and the Joe Duffy, Jim Balin issues. So it's kind of
He was such a good writer.
It's all over the place. And the thing, I guess the way they tried to describe it is like they could do like best Robin stories, but it's not going to be like 85 years of Robin or just Tim Drake, or it'll be a couple different things. Like maybe we'll do this like 6-issue series and like a couple, like we'll do a Tim Drake miniseries, but then we're also going to do the first arc of Damian Wayne or whatever. Like, so it's kind of all over the place, and it definitely feels like a thing of, if you know nothing about these characters and want to read like a Wonder Woman thing, here's a Wonder Woman thing. So it feels...
Would you say introductory or...
No, and that's the thing. Like, it doesn't... I reading the description of them and seeing the covers and seeing the contents, all I could think was, who is this for?
Bookstore market?
No, not even who is it for, but like essentially, who would you sell it to? Someone comes in as like, I'm interested in Wonder Woman. Why would you hand them a thing that's like the Gail Simone, Terry Dodson, Alan Heinberg, Terry Dodson?
Yeah,
The
Alan
Circle,
Heinberg,
whatever
yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
And then like a different Wonder Woman origin story. Like, why would you not hand them Dead Earth or Amazonia or the eventual Volume 1 of the Tom King stuff or George Perez or anything you already have that would be a good jumping on point? Why would you hand them something that's a weird compilation of like, again, like the Batman Year 1 and 2 thing? Who is that for? Why would you not just sell them Batman Year 1? Why would you think they would want to read Year 1 and then the separately written and drawn Year 2 that's just the next thing?
This seems like a real surprising way to go, considering they're already doing their
Compact
digest
comics?
format,
Yeah.
compact comics.
Yeah.
I wonder if those are going to automatically be compact as well.
No, these are full size. These are regular size
Okay.
graphic novels, and
Huh.
the whole thing just feels like an answer in search of a question. I don't understand who the audience is supposed to be for. So that's happening.
Normally, I would make a joke about there being a best of the question and
I get
seeing
it.
if it was like Vic Sage and
Sure.
Renee Montoya.
Mhm.
I just don't feel you're in the mood for it.
No, I would nod, and then I would keep talking. The other thing was the announcement of the summer event? ? Absolute Power
For DC,
for DC.
which is probably what their secretive Free Comic Book Day kickoff story is.
Correct. It is the culmination of their various Amanda Waller stuff. It is Amanda Waller, Failsafe, and the Brainiac Queen robbing the Earth's heroes of their superpowers. And then everything goes to hell.
Huh.
Not literally. That's Underworld Unleashed. But here's the twist. It's a 4-issue miniseries, and they announced the creative team. Mark Waid and Dan Mora.
Oh,
So now I'm interested. I'm immediately interested in a way that I was not for an Amanda Waller DC Universe event
yeah.
a month ago.
And they are leaving Shazam.
That's why.
And are they still doing World's Finest as well?
I'm not sure. I mean, like, I don't think Mark Waid's going anywhere, and Dan Mora probably isn't going anywhere. And it's Dan Mora, so he can do a 4-issue Absolute Power and World's Finest without having to leave either book.
Which blows my mind in 2024
Yeah.
that we have a creator that can do that.
He's very good.
Bravo.
He's very good. I mean, he might be taking an issue off here or there. I know they've got other artists. Like, they announced the creative team for issue 25 of World's Finest, which is Steve Pugh is drawing like a lead story, and then Dan Mora is drawing some other stuff.
Okay. after Peacemaker Tries Hard, Steve Pugh already had a long career of great work, but
Yes.
after that book was so dead on,
Very good.
Put him
It's a
on
very good
anything.
book. Yeah, well, they're putting him on what sounds like the world's finest first meeting of Joker and Lex Luthor.
Interesting.
Yeah.
World's slimest.
World's vilest. I don't know if they announced anything else, or at least nothing else that really was exciting to me. Comics Pro isn't a place you would normally announce a lot of creative stuff. You would announce, business things, and sure, a big tentpole summer event, but I don't think we're going to hear about the next Hawk Girl miniseries or whatever.
And I know that this is just day one, so
Yeah.
Marvel and the keynote address from Dan Buckley are tomorrow.
Yeah.
Actually, no, Marvel was today,
Okay.
but information for that is not allowed to get out. But Dan Buckley's keynote is tomorrow.
Ooh. Well, I'm
I
going to
just-
look real quick and search. DC Finest is what those collected editions were called.
Okay. That's open to interpretation.
Jim Lee is doing the direct market variant for the DC versus Marvel Amalgam Age Omnibus.
Oh, that's the cover I ordered. I ordered blind because...
You didn't order the Amalgam Age one. You
Oh,
ordered the
no,
other
you're
one.
right. I didn't. Oh, sorry.
Oh, and they changed the main cover for the DC versus Marvel Omnibus.
Yeah.
It's not... The John Romita Jr. one was just a placeholder.
Oh.
They're replacing it with a George Perez cover that was done for one of the collections.
Oh, I may have to switch now.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay.
Um,
I will say that, while you're looking at that,
yeah.
while doing the orders today for DC books shipping in April,
Mhm.
there are a couple of different cover themes that they're using.
Yeah.
One of them is Spotlight on Jim Lee, who's already doing various other covers anyway,
Yeah.
but at least for the Bat books, there's Spotlight on Jim Lee,
Sure.
and it's random how it's like, oh, here's Jim Lee doing Azrael on a cover.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Do you know what those are? Why those are?
Why are those?
Those are all the COVID sketches that he did and sold off for charity. And they're like, hey, we've got these. Why don't we just do a month of those?
Okay, but he did 60 of those.
I don't know how many they're going to do. Maybe
Wow.
they're going to do 60 covers.
Another cover theme, because this is for April,
Mhm.
and I just did all the ordering, but there was I didn't order
April.
April, because it comes out in May, right?
I don't remember.
It doesn't come out in April. That was part of it.
Okay.
But there's 7 different Maria Wolf variant covers
Mhm.
where she does different ape characters.
Okay.
It's a spotlight on an ape character.
Mhm.
And I ordered all of them.
Okay.
And I know there's at least one club member who would want them all, so I signed them up for all of them.
Okay.
But in typical DC fashion, most of them are the D cover.
Mhm.
Some of them are E.
Great.
So nobody can just sign up for.
Nope.
Yeah, it's one at a time, and I just left his account open because as I got to a book, it's the core DC titles. It's Superman, Batman,
Sure.
Green Lantern. Especially if you have an ape villain,
Okay.
but also monkeys. There's Beppo gets a cover. It was just a weird thing to come across, not having read about it before.
Sure.
No art is
Of
available.
course not. Why would there be? Other announcements from today. Marvel announced Ultimates. Ultimates #1.
Oh, sure, the Dennis Camp one.
Yes, that was my also disappointed way of saying it. Yeah, Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri, the
Okay.
artist from Invincible
Dennis
Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
When I was talking about this with some people online, the GIF I used was from BoJack Horseman, I think, and it was a character saying, "Why do you hate money?" I appreciate them wanting to try out new voices and move people up, but nothing about either of those creators says that you should be anchoring one of the largest relaunched books you have in your arsenal.
Now, to be fair, I did not read 20th Century Men, and I know people that love it.
But that's the thing. Most people didn't read it either.
Yeah.
This is not somebody who came off of one of the hottest books of the last year or something. This is just somebody who maybe Hickman, maybe an editor, was like, this is a guy. This guy's got it. This guy is fire. And it's like, even if you think that's true, put them on another book at Marvel where they can succeed. And I don't mean Children of the Vault, a 4-issue Fall of X miniseries featuring the Children of the Vault. Like, look at what they did with Jed MacKay.
Yeah.
I'm sure they believed in Jed MacKay right away, but they didn't say, okay, cool, you're writing Avengers. They gave him opportunities to, with a slightly less of a spotlight, to show off what he could do, to create buzz, to create, a hype. So that then when they said, hey, Jed MacKay's writing Avengers, hopefully people are like, oh, cool, I read his other books. I'm really excited for this. And, oh, this is the guy who did that cool stuff on Moon Knight. Dennis Camp on Ultimates, when it's like, his Marvel credits are basically nothing. And his Image stuff nobody read. Like, this is not... When Mark Miller did Ultimates, he had already been writing Ultimate X-Men and had huge buzz behind him because of that. This is not that. This honestly reminds me of a lot of the latter days Ultimate Comics stuff. Where it was, who is it? I don't know, a guy who did an Image miniseries. Like, I guess it's good. And, for a bunch of those people, 5 or 6 years down the line, it's like, oh my God, that's where they got their start. But those books also didn't sell when they came out. Like, that was the truth of it. No matter how good they might have been, and this might be great, might not sell because people don't know who these creators are, and no one is that willing to part with their money to try stuff out anymore. Hopefully the first 10 minutes of this podcast let people know how that's going in the industry. How much people are willing to just plunk down money to try random stuff.
But maybe there is this Ultimates craze again right now.
Yeah, and certainly this thing is... If they'd waited a year, it probably would be DOA. But doing it now, it's going to get some buzz and some hype, but that stuff never lasts as long as publishers think it does. I remember when we were selling out of everything the first month of New 52. And then month 2, it's like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And that's going to happen with the Ultimate stuff. Like, Ultimate Spider-Man is doing great. Ultimate Black Panther sold out super fast with an asterisk because people were hearing that it was hard to get. And certainly a lot of people wanted to try it out. And we'll see with issues 2 and 3 for that, and then for Ultimate X-Men, and even Ultimate Spider-Man issue 3 and 4. How long do people stick around for? How long do they stay excited? Very few books from Marvel ever keep that heat long term.
Yep.
Black Panther #1 by Ta-Nehisi Coates. We sold like 300 copies of issue 1. We were not selling 300 copies of issue 4. So the Ultimates thing, it's kind of got to stand on its own 2 feet at some point, and I don't know if that creative team is going to get people opening their wallets.
I hope it does. I hope it's good.
I mean, I always hope it's good. When I read that creative team, I'm like, this is hard to promote.
Yeah.
This is going to be hard to promote. Hey, again, a writer you've never heard of and an artist that I don't think is that great. Your mileage may vary. The other thing that was announced today was that Jason Aaron, of all people, is writing an Uncle Scrooge one-shot.
Really?
Yes. Called The Infinity Dime.
Okay.
Uh-huh. That's happening.
There's another Jason Aaron announcement today.
What was that?
He's writing a Berserker story.
Oh, yeah, I did read that. I didn't care.
It's a Berserker one-shot. It's
Sure.
Just get another in there. They're calling it the year 2 or season 2 of
it's just a series of one-shots.
But yeah, it's another one-shot.
Yeah. They basically have a gigantic history for the characters, so they'll keep doing these one-shots that
This one is set in the 1800s.
Yeah, we haven't done this time period yet, so let's do that one.
You know what? I will check back in. I haven't read the last couple. I will check back in because it's Jason Aaron. I'm interested to see what he does.
Okay.
He won't stray away from violence.
No.
And Berserker is definitely a book that can revel in that kind of an environment.
For sure.
I'm good for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, an Uncle Scrooge book is interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder, is there
Alex
going
Ross
to be
is doing one of the variants. The artists are like all
who's it for?
Marvel.
Oh, okay.
First ever Uncle Scrooge Marvel comic.
Interesting.
The artists are all European Uncle Scrooge artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing.
It really is, yes.
I wanted to talk about a book that it's too late for anybody to pre-order or subscribe to.
Okay.
It's just a miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
The FOCs closed, I think, last week.
Okay.
But it's going to be under a lot of people's radar, and I will be promoting it heavily because it's one of the most economical comics coming out.
Okay.
It is a DC crossover,
Mm-hmm.
Batman Dylan Dog.
Oh, right.
Dylan Dog is a supernatural investigator who's a European character
Mhm.
who, like decades ago, Dark Horse would do reprints of.
Yes, because it's a
In the
very
American
popular.
edition.
It's a popular long-running European series.
Yeah.
Italian. movie?
And there was even a movie with Brandon Routh
It
as
was,
Dylan Dog, but it was
correct.
set in New Orleans.
And it wasn't called Dylan Dog.
I think it was.
Okay. There was a previous one that was called like Dead of Night or something like that.
Yeah, I think it. But I think they've. You know what? I think retroactively they now call it Dylan Dog Dead of Night,
Okay.
something like that. I never saw it. It did not look very good. But this Batman Dylan Dog, because it is basically done by the Dylan Dog people,
Mhm.
it is so good.
Cool.
The first issue, it's $4.99.
Mhm.
It's 80 pages.
That's amazing.
The second issue, 62 pages for the same price.
Wow.
I mean, it's your money right there.
Yes.
And your average issue of Amazing Spider-Man that gives you 19 to 20 pages
Mhm.
of story and art
Yeah.
is also $4.99.
Oof.
This is 4 times that.
That's great.
The art is spectacular. The colors are amazing. And they're taking Batman and bringing him into London. And you could kind of think of it as a Batman John Constantine team up. It's not, though. Dylan Dog is definitely not Constantine,
Okay.
but he seems more of a con man than Constantine and less of a magic user.
That's cool.
We got a preview. I really enjoyed it, and I even messaged you and said, "Hey, when you FOC this, can you bump the numbers?"
And I did.
Because as someone who did the initial order for that, I did not order high at all.
Nope.
And credit to Mitchell Davies from All Star Comics in Melbourne for making me read it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very
I
cool.
really enjoyed it, and it's a good interpretation of Batman, and it's also got Bat villains. It's got Dylan Dog villains.
Cool.
You know, we've got Killer Croc, we've got Catwoman, we have what's the clown dude with who's not overexposed at all lately in every single
Trickster.
Batman book? Yeah, I thought it was Laughmaster or something. Anyway.
That sounds made up.
That all comics are made up now.
Wow.
So that's a book that I'm like, oh, this is real cool. This
Yeah,
could, this
nice.
and people would probably just skip it entirely.
I'm sure they would.
But
yes.
I liked it, and I want everyone to like it as well.
Excellent. Well, we'll be getting a bunch of copies.
Hooray!
Yay.
That's good stuff.
Yay.
What did you read this week, Dal?
I think we already closed orders on this, so once again, it won't do anybody any good. But I would recommend people check out, when it comes out in about 3 weeks, the first issue of I Heart Skullcrusher, a really excellent Boom series that is, it's like a Mad Max meets Harley Quinn, but it's also a sports manga. It's really good.
That's a good way. I'm going to use that.
You're welcome. It's a young woman in a like post-apocalyptic wasteland. The major form of entertainment is this super violent blood sport that she wants to take part in.
What was it, like Death Bowl or
I
Blood
can't
Bowl or
remember what it
something?
is. That's why I just went with super violent blood sport. But she wants to be a part of it, and she needs to put a team together. She needs to get a coach, and then she needs to get to the big city and find a way to win so she can get on the team with her sports hero Skullcrusher.
I also read it. I thought it was so fun.
Yeah.
It's
really well done.
It's
Art's great. Story's real
energetic.
fun.
It's kinetic. It's fast.
Ton happens in the first issue.
Yeah, art's great.
Yeah. I always get afraid when I read Boom first issues because I'm like, this is going to be a thing where you're going to make me spend a lot of time learning about the world and the characters, and then the cool thing happens on the second to last page.
Yeah.
This is not that. It's instantly fun. It takes off like a rocket. You meet a ton of characters, a bunch of cool scenes. Yeah, it feels like it's got a lot going on in the first issue, which I absolutely appreciate.
It's slightly Scott Pilgrim-esque as far
Sure.
as
I'd agree with that.
structure.
Yeah.
But that's a positive compliment, not
Mhm.
a negative one.
But we're getting a bunch of copies of that as well, because by the time we read it, we didn't have time to tell anybody it was really good.
That's the thing. Like we get these PDFs for the most part right when orders are due.
Yeah.
So it's a quick read and then you up the orders, but it's not enough to get you listener
Right.
to be able to go order it.
Right.
And I also, it's almost disingenuous of us to be like, oh, this book is so good, you can't add number 1 to your list.
You can definitely add the series. And look, if you're a subscriber and you're like, hey, I heard on the podcast that I Heart Skullcrusher is really good. If you tell me now, as in like 3 weeks before release, I will absolutely add it for you. If you do it the day before release, I'm probably going to be a little grumpier about saying yes, but I will probably still say yes. So even though it's after FOC and even though we've locked our orders and we would normally not take pre-orders for it, in a circumstance when we're saying it's really good and we told you that too late for you to order it, come into the store, call, email, I will put it on your account.
Don't message via Twitter or Facebook or Instagram.
Don't do any of the social medias. Don't do that. Call, email, come in. Those are your 3 options.
One of the things that I did years ago that was for my benefit was turning off Facebook messaging for the store account.
Smart.
Because the majority of questions we would get were answerable on the very Facebook page if you just looked.
Yeah.
And even today, yesterday and today, well, mainly today, I was getting text questions from a relative asking about figures for a series that I'm not a viewer or reader of. I'm not invested in. And they were asking things like, well, how many did they make? I have no idea. Like, I get why you ask me.
Right. But I would just have to Google it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just making it take longer for yourself.
And I even just said, I'm like, the answer I could give you is too many. That's all it is. If it's Funko, they made too many of them.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, but I can't help. And I get it. I'm like, I get, but it, I'm not working today, and I was still in bed, and I did not want to put the effort forth.
Yep.
Which I feel is definitely a theme.
Sure.
Also, we read, oh man, what is it? Bedlam Lullaby? Napalm Lullaby.
Yes.
Bedlam was a whole different book entirely.
Correct.
Napalm Lullaby
Nick Spencer
by
Ryan Brown.
Yeah, at one point.
Riley Rossmo.
Yeah. Yes. Napalm Lullaby. Rick Remender, Bengal, Ben, as Rick Remender calls him.
Okay.
I watched a video of Rick Remender, which I assume it was in a hotel room.
Okay.
Because if it wasn't, it is such a sterile living room to be in, especially for what you would think Rick Remender would be into. And he was just in this red hoodie.
Okay.
And he's got short, dark hair.
Okay.
And glasses. And he's just looking straight into the camera. And I literally texted and said to Ryan Brown, is he your older brother?
Wow.
And I took a screenshot of the video, and he replied with, you are not the first person to make that comparison. That he was occasionally called the Midwest Remender.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's like I thought I knew what Rick Remender looked like, but he just looks like an old version of Ryan Brown.
Okay.
And plus the red hoodie.
The red hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Player B, Ryan Brown.
Exactly. Napalm Lullaby is now. You know what? Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, I couldn't remember anything about it just for a second.
Okay,
but I got there. It's good art. Bengal's real good.
Yep.
It is yet another science fiction world that Remender is building, and it is basically our point of view characters. They're on a mission to kill God. And I thought it was a good setup. Fun little twists in the first issue.
Okay.
Which made me think it was going in a whole different direction. We got the first 2, so I think it's a promising start. And I thought the same way about Sacrificers, and people seem to really like Sacrificers still. So hopefully that's a good reference point.
Hopefully,
yeah. I would like to take this moment to say hello to our dedicated listener, Genevieve Villagomez. Thanks for listening, Genevieve.
Thanks.
Obviously, there will be more information for the future well-being of the comics industry from Comics Pro as the Weekend Progresses.
Correct. This was only day one.
That's right. It's happening right now.
Mhm.
We're not there.
Nope.
We said that already.
We did.
Stop repeating that.
I will. Sorry.
Okay. That's fine. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. By the time this goes out, Lucy and Isley will have already been at the store yet
Yeah.
again for
Thanks, Lucy.
Ride Beside Me. I am assuming it went very well. I'm assuming we had a great time. And I'm disappointed that she didn't bring chocolate chip cookies. I mean, I imagine she's not. Also, it's not
What
her
if she
responsibility.
does? You're going to have to recant all of that.
I will. I will gladly recant that.
Mhm.
There's an event we're doing in the future that is food-based that I had said to the creator in that we're doing this with, hey, if we can get some of those recipes ahead of time,
Mhm.
we can maybe have stuff made in advance.
Yeah.
And the reply was basically, these recipes are like 10 pages long.
Oh my God.
And I said, pass.
Yeah.
We can fake it.
Mm-hmm.
We can do other things that are not for the book.
True.
You know, when we did we do a Lucy event for Relish? I honestly don't remember. We've done a lot of Lucy events.
Yeah, that's
and
the thing.
remember.
I couldn't tell you which specific books each one was for.
And I know for at least 2 of her events someone made her chocolate chip cookies that were specifically made in Relish.
Yeah.
So maybe we did it after the fact for one of the next ones or so. Because her chocolate chip cookie recipe has something different you don't find in most cookie recipes. Most chocolate chip recipes.
Razor blades.
It's true. You do have... Nice.
Thank you. I didn't have any of the cookies, so I don't know what was in them. I assume it was razor blades.
Yeah, maybe. I also assume you did have some of the cookies.
That would explain the razor blades.
It's chocolate chip cookies. You don't pass those up. After a couple of lighter release weeks,
Mhm.
the first week of March is going to hit us with 6 new Marvel #1s,
Golly.
including The Spectacular Spider-Man. They put it under T for
Well, that's Penguin Random House. No one in the world would ever do that except them.
The Spectacular Spider-Man #1.
Yeah.
Ultimate X-Men #1.
Oof. Yeah, that's a big week.
Weapon X-Men #1. And then smaller things like
One of
giant size Spider-Gwen.
Here's another minor Marvel
Comics Pro.
thing.
Yeah.
From Comics Pro. So obviously there's a Deadpool Wolverine movie coming out this summer.
I've heard.
Trailer released
It's
and
set in
everything.
World War III or something?
So there one in the next catalog for the stuff coming out in May. There's going to be a Joe Kelly, Adam Kubert, I think Adam. Kubert miniseries, Deadpool Wolverine, WW3, and the 3 is of course claw marks. So it's a Deadpool Wolverine team-up book. I think it's like 4 issues. But they're also going to be doing a series of backups, and I didn't read where these are going to be appearing at, but I guess it's one of those things that's in a bunch of different Marvel books.
Oh, I thought it was just going to be in Gods.
No, but the creative team, Ryan North and Javier Garrón.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
which sounds
Just
really
for the
good.
backups?
Yeah, just for a series of backups,
Huh.
which I'm sure at a point in the near future, aka when the Deadpool Wolverine movie comes out, they will probably release them as like one book, one little, it's Jeff-sized
Sure.
comic
Yeah.
collecting all these shorts.
Okay.
I don't know if they're like sequential. I don't know if they're, individual short stories. I don't know what the deal is. I did not read past Ryan North and Javier Garrón are doing a series of backups for Deadpool Wolverine.
Ryan North, who's writing Marvel's best superhero book right now, Fantastic Four.
Mhm.
And
Especially now they got a new artist.
yeah, Carlos Gomez. And they just announced that there's going to be repackaging of his Adventure Time books.
Yeah, Oni has the rights to the Adventure Time material, which includes both new material and old material. So much like when Marvel got the rights back to like Aliens and Predator, and they did the Epic collections of the Dark Horse stuff, and IDW has in the past released the Marvel Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff. The first thing Oni's releasing is going to be a compendium of the first year or two of the Ryan North, Shelley Paroline, Brandon Lamb Adventure Time stuff,
Nice.
which was very good. They were very, very good comics. And I say this as someone who I would not consider myself a huge Adventure Time fan. I watched a lot of seasons, but I think the comics were better maybe than the cartoon.
What was his Boom series that had to do with like King Midas? Midas Touch.
Midas Touch, yeah.
Okay.
I knew as soon as you said what it was about, you would figure out what the title was.
I also I thought that myself. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I know that it's based off of I was gonna say like the Gold Touch first, but
I think we still have that. I think it's still in print.
no. Okay.
It's just people don't check it out a whole lot. Ryan North is a weird creator where I think people really enjoy his stuff, but they never think to go read the rest of his stuff. Like having to remind people like, hey, the guy who wrote all those Squirrel Girls that you loved is writing Fantastic Four and has been for like the last almost 2 years.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah. It is really good. The issue that's coming out in May is, I guess, one of the last issues before they do some bigger stuff. And it is Johnny and Ben decide to get part-time jobs in the small town they're in,
Okay.
but they both end up going out for the same job. So that's going to be good.
One of our big stories from last week was the Marvel and DC omnibuses that we just talked about.
Omnibuy.
Omnivorous minibuses, megabuses.
Mhm.
That's what they're called, megabuses.
Yeah.
The Marvel DC megabuses. And since that point, those are now orderable in our system.
Correct, yeah.
So if you are a subscriber or you a pre-order person and you want to get these, you can go to your go to challengerscomics.com, go to the subscriptions page, sign into your account, and search DC Marvel Omnibus.
Actually, DC Marvel gives you... You and I had different experiences. I've tried it two different places, and I've had the same experience. And it's DC versus Marvel brings up the DC versus Marvel Omnibus. DC Marvel brings up the Amalgam one.
It's interesting because I did DC Marvel Omnibus and got the regular one. Actually, everything came up, but I was doing it on the back end of our system, not the website.
That's how you do it. I was doing it on the front end because I was putting them in the email that's going to be sent out next week for all the new subscription stuff, and I wanted to put those real high up so that people could find them real easily and click the buttons.
I was putting it in for me and me alone.
The links I put in there are just for the A covers, the normal mass market covers. If you do a search on Managed Comics, you will be able to order the direct market editions, the ones that are only going to be available in comic shops. I don't know if the images are going to be on Managed Comics. They weren't initially announced. I mean, they were announced, but they weren't shown because I guess they hadn't decided on what they are yet. So the DC versus Marvel omnibus is the direct market one. Is that the Spider-Man Superman image that you had, or did you just find that?
No, I just took an image of Spider-Man and Superman to talk about. It had
So
nothing,
we don't know what
it's
that
not
one looks
at
like.
all.
And then the Amalgam one was announced today as a Jim Lee
Like you said earlier.
wraparound piece, and they showed off DC showed off the pencils at, I guess, Comics Pro maybe, and it looks like Jim Lee drawing all the Amalgam characters. You can the second I heard he was drawing it, I had a vision in my head of what it looked like, and then I looked at the picture and went, yeah, that's what I thought it was going to look like. Not clear who's doing the direct market one for the DC versus Marvel, but if DC's doing a brand new cover for the Amalgam one, I gotta assume they're doing a new cover for the other one, and it's probably going to be Jim Lee. I feel like it's probably going to be Jim Lee.
If he hadn't just gone over to the Marvel side, I would have guessed Greg Capullo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder, because these are both being published by DC.
Sure, and I don't know if we talked about this last time. We might have, might not have. I don't remember. But the Amalgam one is not every Amalgam thing. It's just some of them.
It's a lot of them.
It's an omnibus, but it's 3 different miniseries and then the Amalgam issues, but it's not all of the Amalgam issues. So I feel like, and there's nothing in the Marvel catalog for the same month that says that they are doing an omnibus of any of this material. So if there's stuff that has been excluded, and people who are more encyclopedic about Marvel and DC's publishing could probably point out exactly what's not included in the omnibuses. Marvel is not putting it out right away, so I don't know.
Now, that was the one you were most excited for.
The Amalgam one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still excited for it?
I don't know. I have a problem where I buy omnibuses that I think I'm going to want to read, and then I never unwrap them. So I don't know if I'm going to do the Amalgam one. I got a month to find out. I think more than a month. I think the orders close, I think, in May.
Yeah, because it comes out in August.
Sure. So I got a month or two to figure it out.
And as a reminder,
I feel like I might get both. I don't know. You're getting the DC versus Marvel. I might just get the other one, and then I can just read yours if I want to.
One of the things that we will be doing for this
It'll be in the email too.
Okay. But we will definitely be invoicing you for that book the day it comes out on August 7th.
Yeah, we don't usually do that, and we won't be doing it for everything you get for that day, but anybody who pre-orders the Amalgam Age Omnibus or the DC versus Marvel Omnibus, the day those go on sale, technically the night before probably, you will be getting an invoice for them. We will be expecting people to pay for those promptly. That will not be a thing that will come in and then you can come in a month later and come pick them up. That's $150 a piece. We need those to get paid for immediately.
Yep. Especially if you're buying both of them.
Yeah.
And I know that's a huge hit for you if you're buying both of them, but you have until then to start preparing for it.
Yeah, you have until May to figure out if that's an expenditure you can make on August 7th. And if you can, then you have from May to August 7th to save up for it. I feel like it's not going to be a surprise to anybody. We are telling people right up front, before you place your pre-order, you are going to get invoiced on August 7th for these books. 1 or 2, depending on what you order. That said, I would highly recommend people pre-order these things. Omnibuses in general do not hang around at the publishers. They sell out almost immediately, and we found that out when people have asked us, like the week it comes out, to get them a specific cover. And that goes double again for the direct market variants, where there are going to be even less of them. Like, if you do not pre-order the direct market variant, I do not expect them to be available for the public. They're basically pre-order only. I'd be shocked if there were any more sitting around. The thing that makes it even more of a problem is that anytime DC and Marvel have to agree on something,
there's usually a limited reprint window.
I don't think this is going to be nearly as bad as the Hero Initiative in that they did not announce a limit in advance. This is going to be, DC's going to print whatever they need to print, but do not expect them to have the availability to just be like, cool, we're going back to press. That may not happen. This may be a one-time thing. So if you think this is something you want, and I mean, I'm in the same boat where I'm like, if this was something that was available all the time, maybe I'd get the Amalgam one, maybe not. But knowing how rare it's going to be or how scarce it's going to be or how difficult it might be to do another printing, I'm probably just going to pull the trigger on the Amalgam one.
Yeah.
And I would recommend anyone who is on the fence to consider that you will not necessarily get another bite at this apple. Like, this is probably the one time this is going to happen. So think of it that way.
And I would also not expect us to have shelf copies.
This is not something, depending on how the next few weeks go, we will maybe have some of the main cover for the shelf, but I'm not ordering like 5 or 6 of them like I would for like an Ultimate Collection. They're $150 each.
Agreed.
Hard to justify.
And hardcover.
And hardcover. It's not even that I don't think they'll sell. It's a lot of money up front. That's just a lot of money, which is why we're really hoping people pre-order these things, because unless I know they're going to sell and I know they're going to get paid for on August 7th, I am very reluctant to order a bunch of copies.
That is entirely justified.
I hope so.
Now I've got a bit of non-comic news that I know everybody's going to be very excited for.
Okay.
And I'm going to need you to sit down.
I can't sit down. I'm too excited.
I'm sorry.
I can't. I got to stand.
Please,
Patrick, I got to stand for this.
Can you please stand up and then sit back down?
No, I can only stand. I'm too excited. You have to tell me.
I saw a video.
Oh, God.
Was
that the news? Oh, my God.
There was stuff filmed after Dynamite with Tony Storm. It was so great.
With Tony Storm?
Yeah.
She came back out?
No, but we filmed backstage after when the show was over.
I thought it was like in the ring afterwards, which is what they usually do.
Where all that lipstick she put on is just all over.
It was in her teeth.
Yeah, it was in her teeth.
It's gross.
But that wasn't what I was going to say.
No? Okay.
So Roman Kemp, who is a British breakfast DJ for the station Capital, he's been with the station. He's been the breakfast show guy for like 7-8 years. He's been with the station for like 10 years.
Okay.
And he announced he's stepping down. Now, rumor is it's illness related, that he's sick.
Oh, okay. That's too bad.
But he then, he's not leaving till April.
Okay.
He's got, 5 or 6 more weeks of his show left. And he does it with two other people, Chris Stark, who used to be with Scott Mills on BBC Radio 1,
Oh, sure.
and a woman whose
They
name I
would
do
do
not
that
remember.
thing where they would get each other to call places that had funny business names, and then they'd snicker about it.
When we used to love that. That
Yeah.
was when we had to get up really early on Tuesdays.
Yeah, because that's just what happened to be on at the time.
Yeah.
At like 6 in the morning or
Yeah.
whatever.
So Roman announced that he's leaving, and then he announced who was taking over, and that person, are you excited?
I am. I'm still standing.
Came through the door, and there was a big burst of confetti, and Jordan North got on the air.
Jordan North going home with Vic and Jordan North?
Not anymore.
Oh my God.
Capitol Breakfast.
Oh my God.
Jordan
I should have
North.
sat down for this. Oh God.
Jordan North is going to be doing the Capitol Breakfast show starting in April.
Wow.
He will be directly opposite Greg James.
Oh golly.
But yeah, it was Jordan, and it's because one of the things that they do, and Radio 1 does, they're filming everything, and they put it out in little video, Instagram videos or whatever,
Sure.
small videos. Capitals is a lot. You can go to watch the whole thing on video as well.
Really? Like professionally filmed?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know, a stream or whatever.
But like there's, because I've seen you
there,
show,
there are different
sometimes
angles
you
as
show
well.
me some of the like, I don't know if it's Instagram or TikTok or whatever of like Radio 1. And it's very like the camera is 18 to 25 inches away from the
Yeah.
person's face. And there's a bunch of audio equipment around them.
I mean, it's like that,
Okay.
but different
I didn't know
angles
if they
and
had
whatnot.
like more of a visually enticing studio that they're operating in, where it's a little fakey, but it at least
But
looks good on
it was
video.
great because, Jordan sits down, putting the headphones on,
The cans.
takes them off, has to unwrap the cord from around it and twist it and put it back on, and
Uh-huh.
like this is like that's like a nice little
A
classic
little Jordan North thing of like
Yeah.
this big moment. Let me screw it up just a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, it's just a little thing, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
he's on. Apparently, he's like really good friends with the other two people on the show.
That's
so
great.
It's going to be an exciting era that
Can you listen to this?
I will never hear because I'll be listening to Greg James.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah.
Not even the first Jordan North show. You're not even going to give that a listen?
How dare you?
I thought you liked Jordan North.
I like Greg James better.
Okay, I didn't realize it had to be a contest.
It is when they're against each other.
Oh yeah, maybe you're just the one
That's-
pitting them against each other.
I did not hire either of
Isn't
them.
breakfast big enough for both of them? I love breakfast. I'll have breakfast at night. You could have your one breakfast show at night. Technically, you have to have both of them at night because of the way the time zones
Yeah, I
work.
mean,
But
I
still,
listen to them at night. I can't listen to both.
Still.
I mean, it's true that Greg James does do a podcast, which is just all of the talking of his show
Mhm.
in one day that I could listen to.
Yes.
I don't go back and listen to it. I just listen to it live.
Okay.
Anyway, it was non-comics, but it's very exciting, and it's a
It is very
huge
exciting.
shakeup.
I wish I had sat down like you had told me to, because now my legs have buckled entirely and they hurt so bad.
And it's funny because I was ready to catch you, but then I thought, no, he chose to stand.
I did. You gave me so many opportunities and I shunned you.
Well, the shutting is over for another week. Thank you for listening
Keep reading comics.
and listening to BBC radio shows.
Comics.
Actually, just British radio shows, not BBC. I mean, if you want to listen to Capital.
Comics.
Like British comics?
Comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.